Welcome to the Hidden Potential Podcast. I'm your host, Homer Hargrove, and today we're going to be talking about website building and social media for beginners. Now, I'll be the first one to say that this is not my favorite subject, or at least it used to not be. And it is something that I had to learn how to do once we started our church and once I started really having a leadership role, even when I was a youth pastor, and learning how to promote, learning how to make an online presence was not necessarily easy, but it is incredibly necessary for the world that we live in today. And all throughout this talk today, we're going to really be learning how to practically build that out and some key tips to help you, especially if you're in the beginning phases of it. Now, whether you're having to do it all yourself or you have a staff member or volunteer that's helping you through this, you still want to be knowledgeable of these different things because it's going to reflect everything that you're doing with other people. And as a preface to the importance of this, when I have new people try out our church, I'll always ask them, what brought you in today? And it's usually because they found us on Google. And I ask them, what made us stand out amongst all the other churches? And they typically will say the reviews and the way the website looked. And I think one of the best compliments I ever got was one day someone said, yeah, I had to double check if the from the website, if it was a church or a brewery, because it just looked so good. And I just took that and loved that kind of response because it made me really feel a lot more confident in the website. And again, it has been a key feature for our church, our ministry, that has caused people to literally choose to come to our church instead of another. So let's go right into it. The first thing that we're going to talk about today is the idea of building your online accessibility. And what I mean by that is how people can find you online. You want to make it abundantly clear and easy that they're finding you, and you want to make it as easy as possible through whatever pathway they're trying to find you. So that gets us into like website building basics. Starting off, just to make it clear, you want to make sure that when you're building a website, typically, if you're starting from scratch, you're building with like a domain. And just this is kind of like an extra thought. I didn't even put this in my notes, but when you're choosing your domain, you want to make that domain as easy and simple as possible when it comes to people being able to find you online. And so for our church, it's gravetopchurch.com. And you can still search like gravetop.com and you'll find us. And even for me, like in my wife, we have a shared website for our services and speaking requests and our podcasts and all these other things. And we have it to where you can search homerhargrove.com and you'll find it. You can search laurenahargrove.com and you'll find it. You can search homerandlauren.com and you'll find it. And I won't get into like, should you use a .com, a .org. I personally think that you should always use a .com because that's just what people instinctively think about. They don't think about .tv or .org, .gov. Like people just are so used to putting .com. So I would go with that in my personal opinion. Now, going into the website itself, I personally use Squarespace for my own personal website, for a church website. It was one of the first ones that I tried, and it just worked out really well. It was super easy to navigate, and I'm telling you, I started this website building experience back in 2017, and so now I have like 7 years of website building experience. But Squarespace is really easy to navigate, and when I just started, it really helped being able to simply like pick and pull blocks. It has a really user-friendly software that makes it easy for almost anyone to be able to get started. It also has a lot of useful features like email campaigns, appointment scheduling. You can open a store on it, and it becomes really useful if you have different features like that you want to incorporate, especially when it comes to email campaigns. Even if you use a different website hosting website that doesn't have built-in email campaigns, you could still use things like MailChimp to be able to connect with that software. Now, with Squarespace, it also has a great connection to social media bio sites. I'll get more into that later, but again, I like Squarespace because of these reasons. Now, look, I'm saying this. I don't have any type of kickback from Squarespace, and this is just my own personal experience from it. Now, if you're trying to build a website from scratch, the first thing that you need to do is choose a template of style that you want to represent your website, your organization, yourself, whatever it may be, and you want to keep that flow all throughout the website and all throughout the rest of your organization. And you want it to, when it comes to things that you print out, you want to keep that same style. You want it to look like it's the same everywhere people look, that it's connected to you. From social media to handouts, like you want to be using similar fonts, if not the same fonts, on all across your organization. So take a little bit of time to choose what style you want so that your website doesn't look completely different than the way everything else looks about your organization. And then this is like again, really simple, practical stuff that you need to check because it's easy to forget, is once you create the website that you want to check every link, that make sure it works, make sure that each URL slug is what word or phrase you want it to be. A URL slug is says after .com/blank. And so for our church, say it's gravetopchurch/ways-to-connect.com. It's gravetopchurch.com/ways-to-connect. And that's called that after that slash is that URL slug. And you just want to check to make sure that all of those are what you want it to say, that's all consistent. There's been many times where I built out a website and I look back and I realize that it's like gravetopchurch.com/page1. And that I had to go back and fix the title, or I made changes and forgot to switch something back to where there's a broken link. And so again, you just want to go through once you're done, go through and make sure all of those links, all of those pages, everything is clear in what you want it to do and what you want it to represent. The other thing that you really, really got to double check is, does it look good on a mobile device? That's another reason why I like Squarespace, is that it has a mobile feature to where you can tab back and forth to what it looks like on a mobile phone. And I'll even go the extra mile and I'll check on my phone. I'll just look at the website after I publish it and make sure that it looks consistent on my phone as well. And that goes for your pictures, for the way everything lays out on your phone. You want it to be smooth and consistent. There's a time where a pastor that I knew was talking to me about his website, and it was when we first got started, and he was like so proud of his website and said, yeah, we get a lot of compliments on our website, and we should, because I paid a lot of money for it. And I don't remember the exact amount that he paid, but I think it was like $1,500, $2,500. It was like a lot of money for a website, for someone to build out the website. And I was so curious, like, man, that must be like stand out. And I went and looked, and it was terrible. It did not work on a phone. Like it was, the website itself looked very bland. The fonts were all messed up. The colors were poor choices. And most of all, it just did not work on a mobile device. You got to understand that people will, most of the time, I don't know the exact statistic, but it's 80 to 90% of your website visits will be from a mobile phone. Think about, how would you search for a store nearby, church nearby? It'll be on your phone. So that's like the key thing you want to make sure is good, is how it looks on a person's phone. Hey listeners, today I'm reaching out for your support to keep our journey of innovative Christian leadership alive. Every week that we dive into these territories of faith-based leadership, it's made possible because of the contributions made by people who believe in this mission. Whether you want to help us by becoming a monthly supporter or by submitting a one-time donation, you help fuel our discussions on authentic and practical leadership. Your generosity allows us to help other leaders just like yourself harness their creativity for the greater good of our communities and beyond. To support us, please visit homerhargrove.com and look for the support section. It's quick and it's easy, and every bit of it helps us make a greater impact for Christian leadership. Thank you for being a part of our mission. Now, let's get back to today's episode. Now, let's go into your social media basics. We talked about website, and again, on the website, you also want to include like resources of connections of how people connect with you online, your Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, you want to have all that connected on your website as well. When it comes to your social media basics, understand where your audience is on and what they use each platform for. For example, there's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, and you have to decide which ones you want to be on, which ones you don't want to be on, and understand that there's different age groups that are on each of those different platforms. For example, Facebook is actually more geared towards like people 40 and above. Are there 25 years olds on it? Of course there are, yes. But most people that engage on Facebook, as far as liking stories, commenting, things like that, are people above the age of like 35 and 40. And so you're looking at more that age group. While people 30, between like 20 and 30, those people are most likely on Instagram. And they are engaging and interacting on Instagram more than they do on Facebook. They also have a Facebook account, yes. But they're engaging, posting, and interacting more on Instagram. And then when it comes to TikTok, that's where most of Gen Z will be on, to where they're engaging more on that platform. And so you're looking at doing more video style, carousel photos, things like that. But you just got to understand what age group am I trying to reach? So if you're a youth group, you'd really want to be engaging on TikTok. Do you want a Facebook page as well? Yes. Do you want Instagram? Yeah, sure, probably. But TikTok is where you're going to probably get the most engagement. And the same for if you're just looking at building it for your church and you're trying to engage more like that bread and butter family, that's nuclear family, then you'd probably be engaging more on Facebook. So again, consider where these people are on, and then when it comes to creating that content, you want to consider what you're putting on these different sites. So for us personally, the only three things that we're on is, and I didn't include YouTube because YouTube is, we do put all of our content on YouTube, but we don't engage on YouTube really. So just sticking to social media, Facebook, we're only on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and we don't get on. We don't really put anything on. We don't have a Snapchat account because while there's a lot of young people on that, it is more. It's totally personal based, like it's relational based, where they're really using it to message friends and things like that. They're not really trying to interact with organizations or businesses on Snapchat. And Twitter, and again, this is just for us. However you see fit, you feel, follow that lead. On Twitter, it's more of like a discussion forum to where people are sharing their ideas, their opinions, and it's kind of like this open forum. And so that's not really the kind of engagement we're looking for. We're not really trying to engage in discussions on that level. We're trying to provide encouragement, resources, and personal connection. And that happens on Facebook, that happens on Instagram, it's able to happen on TikTok too. So when it comes to the type of content that you put, as an example, we'll put our whole live, like our service live on Facebook, and we'll download that video to put on YouTube later after being edited. But we won't do Instagram live or TikTok live, because those are more geared towards like quick consumption. Those videos are usually like 30 seconds or shorter, while the Facebook Live, people will settle in on there. On Instagram, that's where we get the best. We get best kinds of engagement on like our photos of people that went to church that day, our reels of personal interaction. We get really great feedback and interaction on like people through Instagram. And on TikTok, it actually has the most engagement when it comes to our sermon clips, or we'll put slides of like different quotes from the sermon on there. And we get the most interaction from like on a resource level from TikTok. So again, that's how it's been for us. And so you can kind of like go with that momentum and see what kind of posts and what kind of content is working on each platform and kind of adjust accordingly as you're continuing to sail that ship. Now, with that being said, when it comes to social media, people want either resources, they want information, or they want personal connection. And I would say that personal connection from you is most important. So even when it comes to like making say a sermon clip or a video, you want to have a personal connection that's attributed to it, to where it doesn't look like this in a sense like this professional documented thing. They want to feel like they in a sense like you're just like them making a video. And that doesn't mean that you do it sloppy or anything like that, but just understand that personal connection matters, and you can still have something look good, look clean, look professional while still giving that personal connection. But I say all this to say that you should not use your social media as just a newsletter. And that's what I see a lot of churches doing, is pretty much just using it to promote their events or things that they're doing with the church, or even donation requests, like if you want to donate. And you just got to understand that just think of it like this. What do you use social media for? Are you scrolling through your feed looking for the next event or the next promoted event? Like, oh, okay. Like it's usually something you already know about that you don't either plan on going or not going, but you just scroll right past it. You're not stopping and reading all the information, especially when a lot of churches will put like all this sub information in tiny text, and they'll put things like food, fun, and fellowship. Like that is not necessarily inspiring anyone to go. You're just kind of blurting out noise. You're just saying things, and you gotta to be a little more creative as you're posting content. Like for us, like I shared a minute ago, what really works for us is when it comes to a resource level of, we'll put like, and when I'm talking about putting content in like carousel form, I'm sure some of you guys have seen it. It's like I'm posting carousels of information from the message. And I'm not creating new content. I'm copying and pasting it. I'll even use AI like ChatGPT to put parts of my manuscript from my message into point size bytes to be able to be in a carousel. And it's just something to where people will see that and they'll swipe, and it's just an interesting resource that they like to read and keep for themselves. And especially on TikTok, that's where we have the most people save our content, the most people like our content. It's with those kinds of resources. And that personal connection of like trying to show the people and faces that go to your organization, that are part of your church. And you're wanting to get people like smiling, people interacting. You don't want to just get the backs of people. You want to have them with smiling faces, showing engagement, that there's real people here talking with one another. And whether it's a photo carousel or whether it's making a reel, you want to be able to have that kind of personal connection to be on there. And of course, that you can still put like as information as far as like, hey, this month we're going to do this. Like we have this month we're going to do a bring a friend day, or we do at the end of the month a men's group meeting. And so we'll put that on there. That's just informational, but we'll try to make it unique in the description. Like instead of just saying join us this Sunday, I might say something like, are you still trying to find a church? Try us out this Sunday to see if it's the right fit for you. And see how it's in that description, it turns that information more into a personal connection, to where I'm seeing the problem that they may have, and I'm suggesting an answer rather than just saying join us in all caps with 3 exclamation marks. That just doesn't work. You want to make personal connection even when it's just information. That being said, when it comes to trying to get better engagement on social media, you just got to understand that the more that you post, the more that you will appear. A lot of times people will try posting for a week, and they get passionate or ambitious, and they'll do posts for just a couple days, and then they feel like they don't get any engagement, so they give up. You got to post consistently for quite some time before you start seeing regular engagement. And you also got to know that just posting and appearing in people's feed is good. Even if people aren't liking your content, you're still having this passive marketing as far as being in their visuals, being in their peripherals, and that is useful to have. You need to again, posting every day is the key. That's where you want to be at. But if you're starting out, try posting 3 times a week and work your way forward. Even me right now, like right before even setting up this this podcast episode, I was posting stories on Instagram and Facebook to go out through the entire month. And I was scheduling it for the whole month of June and scheduling stories. And I was using AI and to help put a lot of the content on there. Using AI, using Canva, using other tools to make that social media creation as easy as possible for you is key, because it is a full-time job doing online marketing. It's a full-time job doing social media and website building. And so allow yourself to use AI and other tools to make that journey just way easier. And I'm constantly trying to find like new apps or softwares that will make that journey easier so that I can focus on that personal connection, that in-person interaction better. And that's what really matters. This is all just passive interaction. Use tools to help you do that. And there's other podcast episodes where I talk more about that and how to reuse content, how to use AI to help you. I would encourage you to look back at those to figure that out. Now, getting close to the end on social media, and then I have a big topic that I want to end on with you guys, is utilizing your social media account to the best that you can. You want to use all of the abilities on your social media account to connect with individuals. For example, on Instagram, I'll just stay here for a minute to talk about it. Get a clear statement in your bio. That's number one. And for example, for our church, our purpose is to bring people from death to life. And we love it. It's inspiring. It gives purpose to what we do, and it helps build connection. That's what it says in all of our social media bios. We're a non-denominational Christian church, and we bring people from death to life. And you want to have a clear statement like that within your bio. And also, like on ours, it says from death to life, and then services on Sunday, 11 a.m. And you just want to make it simple, concise, and make it clear who you are. What I would suggest is putting a type of link in your bio. I mentioned earlier that Squarespace has what's called bio sites. I think the app is called Unfold. But when you have something like that, or you could use Linktree, it helps you to be able to, in a sense, create a mini website for your social media, to where on Instagram, people could just tap that link in bio. And for our bio site, it has a whole little form that pulls up to where the first thing that you see is a little small box of our YouTube, to where they could see the latest message. And then right after that, it has ways to connect. Try us out this Sunday. It has all these links that are from our website, and people can even either join a newsletter from there, they can donate from there, they can do everything just from that link in bio. They don't even have to fully visit the website. And so going through that process and making it to where even your social media page could be a one-stop shop, that's key to making yourself accessible online. And then another thing that you should do is to choose 3 to 5 core offerings of your organization, ministry, whatever it is, to use in your highlight reels. So on Instagram, there's highlight reels that you can create, and it's pretty much the little bubbles underneath your bio, and it's where people can choose specific stories to be as like a highlight of their lives or what have you. So as an organization, you can choose, you can be creative and intentionally making it like another place for people to see specific parts about you, to understand who you are, and even to see core offerings. So like, again, on our church, you'll see one of those highlights is like ways to connect or get connected. And there's specific highlights I created and put on our story one time that will say something like, do you want to get more involved? Do you want to feel more connected at church? And then it has ways, and then the next slide is join a small group, and it has a link that you can click from the story. And then there's another one that is, do you want to volunteer? And here's a link to tap to volunteer. Do you want to get involved in recovery ministry? Here's a link to tap. And so again, those highlight reels can really build value for you, so that for people who are curious, and they'll just stalk your page for a minute and look at all these different things. Another one of ours is sermons or preachings, and they'll go on there, and it's all the different sermon clips that we've made over the months and years, to where it just all these highlights of different sermons, to where they can get a vibe of what we sound like, what we talk like, what's important to us. Another one is like people, and it's just like people connected at our church, and you're able to see that in those highlight reels. So again, 3 to 5, you don't want to overdo it. This is like what's most important. What do you want people to see most when they see your page? And on your on that bio site, on the or Linktree, whatever it is, you want to prioritize what you want people to engage with the most. So like I said, for us on ours, the very first thing that we want people to engage with is the message, because it's kind of usually what people are most looking for when they're looking for churches. It's that in community. And but they still want to check to make sure the message aligns with their beliefs. And so that's a very first thing that's on our page. And the next thing is get connected. And so again, it's like the message, then community, and then everything else trails behind. It's important to prioritize what you want people to engage with. And I would say that you should not prioritize donations as the number one thing on your site, to where when you first go to it, the first thing that shows up is donate, or you have a pop-up that says donate on your bio site, says donate on your link, it says donate. It just comes across as sleazy, especially in our culture today. Most people have a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to churches and money, unless it's like an annual thing. Like say you have an annual benefit, and it's like 1 month that you're really promoting donating to your organization. That's fine, because it all flows with like that theme that month. But you don't want it to just be this ongoing thing, to where when people think of you, they just see you asking for money. It just doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth. You have to kind of earn that. You have to build a rapport first before you can ask for donations. All that being said, I hope that was helpful information on website and social media building. I know that I kind of dragged into a monotone in the middle of that. It's hard for me to always be super excited about that. I feel like I've gotten really good at social media and website building, but still not something that I want to quit my day job doing to be full-time website and developer. What I'm about to talk about is what I'm most passionate about, and that is person-to-person interaction. Person-to-person interaction should always be the goal when it comes to any organization, any business. The person-to-person interaction is key. Consider some of the favorite restaurants that you like to go to, or favorite stores. It's usually like the person-to-person interaction, the customer service, how they made you feel in your visit that makes you want to go back. And when you get the opposite of that, you never want to go back. Even if you go to a good restaurant that the food was great, but the customer service sucked, you're not going to go back. I've refused to go back to find places that the food was decent, it was all good, but because the customer service wasn't good, I never went back. And so you need to understand that making that consumer connection should always be your number one priority. The online presence is a passive rapport building. That's a passive landing page for people to connect with you. But you should always strive to interact with people in person, or at least over the phone. They need to be able to hear your voice or be able to smell you. Like you want to be authentic from your online presence to your in-person interaction. And when you don't get that, it can be really terrible reputation that you build with people, because your online presence may shout, oh, we love people, love God, love people. But then when people actually try to talk to you and it seems like that interaction is stale or ingenuine, then it'll just give you a bad rep. And you want to make it to where people are even more pleased and more engaged in person or on the phone, whatever, than what they thought of you from online at all. And I think that this is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make, is trying to really hype themselves up online, but then when they finally do get that chance of in-person interaction, they just totally drop the ball and they suck at it. And it's just, you really need to know that this is important. As an example, as a compliment that we've got over the years is, we've heard many times people will compliment my wife and I in our church that over years, like they don't even go to our church anymore, they moved or what have you, and people will still come back and say, out of all the other places I've gone to, you guys were so genuine, and y'all made me feel so loved, so appreciated. And their biggest compliment to us is that personal interaction. And there's been many times for me and my wife over the years to where we would even try to reach out to ministers or professionals that we knew, and their online content was like, yeah, I'm great, I love people, you got to just go out and do it, like trying to be all inspiring. And then we'd actually interact with them, and it's like, oh, well, I'm too busy, I'm all booked up, I don't know if I'll try to see when I have time. And it's like it was totally stale, like just totally putting us off, or we would be left on red. And every time we would get that, it was like, man, like that really felt nasty. That sucked. And it's not that they were just like, oh, I'm just so busy. Like everyone has time for things, like I'm super busy. We're all busy. And there's genuine moments where people just don't have time to text back, call back, whatever. But you need to know that people will remember that. If you leave people on red, they're going to remember that. If someone tries to meet up with you and you ghost them and say, yeah, I'll get back to you, and you never get back to them, they're going to remember that. And you can only do that so many times to where that they're just not going to reach out to you anymore. And so in order to help you to remember that, you should always remember that how people feel when they interact with you is most important. You should create automations to help better cater to people connecting with you. Like for me, it is usually hard for me to drop everything I'm doing to try to schedule something and go back and forth like, oh, well, does this day work or does that day work? And oh no, I work from this time to this time. And so I like completely transferred to where now I have my schedule set up and I send a link to set an appointment for people to where I say, hey, this is just a link that you can that has my availability. You can schedule the time that works for you and we can meet up. If it doesn't work, let me know and we can work things out. It's totally helped streamline the energy it takes to set things up with people. And you could do that with either Calendly app, or even if you have a Google account, Google has an update to where you can set appointments straight into your calendar from there. And having that kind of just simple thing like an app to set up appointments for meetups or phone calls can really help you to keep that authentic engagement to where people don't feel like they're just getting blown off by you. Another thing is even having automatic emails when people sign up for something on your site or in your organization, when people donate. Like when it comes to donations, I want people to feel like when they gave to Gravetop or when they gave to our personal ministry, I want them to feel like they're so appreciated. I want it to be an experience like they've never had before. And part of the ways that we can do that is just through like automatic emails to where not one person is not going unthanked. And having set times for me to have specific days and times to where throughout the year I will send a personal text or a phone call or share a personal story with people who donate to our church or donate to our ministry, because I want that genuine connection. I want that personal interaction because that's what matters most. Above all the fluff, that's what matters the most. And number 3 is when it comes to having this kind of connection with people is choosing specific days and times in your calendar to text, to call, to follow up with people on phone, text, or in person. Just like I talked about when it comes to even appreciating our donors, but even when people have, we have like Get Connected forms. And so there's a specific time every Monday. And now we've even moved it to Sunday evening to where we reach out to those people who filled out those forms. We want them to know that this is a real person texting you. This is a real person reaching out to you. And our end goal is always to meet up in person. We say it all the time, like let's meet up for either coffee or tacos, because everything that we've done online is great. That's nice. But the personal interaction supersedes everything else. How you make people feel, showing that you're a real person, that they're a real person, they'll remember that forever. So again, that is we'll wrap up our website and social media building for beginners. Before we get off today, I have 3 takeaways. Number 1, apply what we talked about to build or change your website to best fit your audience and their needs. Number 2, update your social media profile and build out a plan to better connect and reach people through your posts and bio. And number 3, prioritize people and set up ways to better make that in-person connection better in your organization. You know, if you're in a place where you're just starting out, or maybe you've tried it different times and you just keep hitting that wall, if you need help with your social media or your website, you can reach out to me and I can either give you a quote for me to do it for you, or I could set up a workshop and teach the staff and volunteers at your organization, or at least I may be able to offer some quick advice to help you to get that ball rolling. But all you have to do is just message me and we can work something out. With that being said, thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope that it was edifying for you. I hope that it made a difference in your life, in your organization. Until next time, have a great life. Well, there you have it. I hope that this episode was meaningful and edifying for your leadership and your growth within your ministry and organization. Could you do me a favor? Could you leave a rating and review for this podcast? It'd really help me out and help others be able to see this show in their feed. You can also visit homerhargrove.com to be able to learn more, connect, or become one of our supporters. Until next time, have a great life.